Hey everyone, welcome to the Fireside Chat number 29 on Crushing Classical, redefining a thriving classical music career. I'm Tracy Friedlander, and on today's episode, we continue the conversation on creativity with the part 2 of last week's show. We got so much feedback about last week's Fireside Chat about creativity, and we knew there was a lot more to dive into. How do you tap into your creativity? Not everyone is inherently creative, but everyone has the potential to be creative. The trouble is how to access it. We talk about the biggest mistake that you are likely currently making in terms of your creativity. We also go into some valuable tips on how to tap into your creativity each day by just tweaking the way you do something that you already do every day. This conversation has the potential to dramatically shift your thinking about creativity and your daily creative process. Before we begin, just a few quick things. Please join the conversation at facebook.com/crushingclassical as well as Crushing Classical on Instagram. If you love our content, it would mean the world to us for you to comment and share it with your classical musician friends and colleagues. Let's get started. Hey, Eileen, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. So today is the Fireside Chat we're recording after the last Fireside Chat that was about creativity. And just now we decided, we were talking about a bunch of stuff and said, this is really actually kind of a part 2 to the creativity thing.
Unexpectedly, we have a part 2.
Yeah, because the topic we realized totally ties in to creativity, like 100%. So, what we were talking about just now is adapting things from other areas. And we've talked about it a little bit before, like we've touched upon it in other podcast episodes.
Let's create the context here just for a minute. The reason why we're talking about adaptation is because there are a lot of people who feel like they're not creative.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to tell you, if you asked me today, if you met me, on the street corner and said, Eileen, you're creative, I would say, no, I am not. I am not creative. I am creative about adapting other people's creativity. I'm great at that. But for being creative myself, coming up with original ideas no, absolutely not. No. And I think I'm not alone. And that's how we got on this topic.
Right. Like you always say that if I give you some clay,
yep,
you can make a masterpiece out of it.
I absolutely can. You give me clay and you make it ugly and I'll turn it into the most beautiful statue you ever saw.
Right.
So I need clay. That's what adaptation is you take something else that someone else has done and you adapt it, but you do it creatively. So it's not plagiarizing. So It's not, you know what I mean? I think that's important. Adapting somebody else's super creative idea, that's plagiarism. Actually, no, it's not. There's a way to adapt without stealing somebody's idea.
Right. And the reason why we thought of this at all is because I'm always listening to other podcasts and checking out other things, and so are you. Mm-hmm. And one thing I noticed is that all the top, like if you look everywhere in the world of top people who are like really, really high functioning humans on the planet, they all get things from other areas and they adapt them into their lives to make their teaching better, their writing better, everything. And I've been noticing that as I hear interviews on other podcasts, that all these like really awesome people that are being interviewed, they're saying, oh, I got this idea here. I noticed this movie maker person does this. And it was interesting. I started seeing a theme that like these people who are really, really high functioning people in their careers are all adapting things from other niches, like other areas of the world, instead of like, say, a musician is only looking at other musicians for inspiration.
That is the biggest mistake that I see. In fact, I really truly don't understand why classical musicians are not adapting from other niches, from other marketplaces, from other, what do you want to call it? Not areas. That's not the right word. Just,
Arenas.
arenas. Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't understand this.
Well, and you know what? I think because of this mindset, and we can go into this a little later, because it's about audience, but I think that there's a misconception that musicians think that their audiences are other musicians all the time. And so that's why they're hesitant to share certain things or be totally authentic or open or honest or vulnerable, even because they're afraid of how they'll look in front of other musicians. But did it ever occur that maybe you don't want your entire audience to be other musicians?
Well, and I
I
think the
mean,
question is, why do you think, and I'm speaking to the audience here. Why do you think other musicians are your audience? If you want to play for a living, why would you be worried about what other musicians think about you? That's not even your audience.
yeah,
Other musicians are not your audience. I think it's really interesting if that's what you think,
right.
because it's not true. If you're a player and you want to be known for your playing, you need to tackle an audience, not musicians.
Right. Kenny G's audience isn't other saxophone
That's
players.
correct. It is not. Correct. In fact, other saxophone players probably can't stand the guy, but it doesn't
Right.
matter. It doesn't
Right.
matter because, his audience loves him, and it's not sax players.
Exactly. So I just had to bring that up because when I get feedback from people about and it's not necessarily, it's tied into the adapting thing because people aren't necessarily looking in other arenas to adapt for their own content on social media. But a lot of times what stops people from posting and doing certain things is that they fear what their audience is going to think they're bragging or doing this kind of self promotion. What's the problem? First of all, it doesn't have to look like bragging. A lot of people think that social media is just about going on and bragging about yourself. I've gotten numerous comments about that, but
Yeah,
that could be it.
that's incorrect entirely.
Yeah. But then the concern is that, well, if you feel like you're bragging, and it's to other musicians and you don't want to appear like that, maybe your audience, or if that's who you think your audience is, then that's probably where the first stopping point is that needs to be addressed. But anyway, we could talk more about that later since we're talking about adapting now and the process of creativity, which is that in order to get ideas, adapting is the best way because it's really hard to just come up with an idea just out of the clear blue sky about anything. Like if I say, Eileen, give me a good idea about, XYZ. Like, I don't know, come up with an idea. Give
What
me
I
an
can post
idea.
today, I have no idea.
Yeah, what are you going to post today?
Hey,
Tell me.
Eileen,
Go.
give me a good idea of what I can post today. I have no clue. Don't even ask me that question. Don't ever ask me that question.
Right.
Don't ever. I will tell you I don't know, and I will send you on your merry way. I have nothing to contribute.
I know.
Nothing.
I'm in the middle of this social media challenge right now, and I'm going, okay, I need to get ideas. I can't just go here and open up a screen and have a blank white screen and suddenly have ideas pouring out my fingers onto the
man,
page.
I mean, seriously, if you're not adapting over there, then you and I need to have a side combo.
Oh, I am, but I need to do more of it. And that's the thing.
Okay.
That's the thing because, that's what I was doing this morning. I felt like I was kind of, I'd set aside the morning to write and I realized I had no ideas. So I had to go looking.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of broke a rule by going on Facebook in the morning when I'm supposed to be writing, but you can't sit there.
If you don't have ideas, you have to go get them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you don't have ideas. And here's the other thing. You talked about, look, I don't even want to pay service to this whole thing about, oh, I don't want to brag. It's such a dumb conversation. I don't even know why anyone's talking about it. It's stupid. Mm-hmm. If you're having trouble coming up with content, if you're having trouble coming up with what you're going to write about, what you're going to post about or whatever, it's just because you are not watching anything quality that's giving you ideas to write about and post about. That's right. The only reason why you're having a problem over there.
Right. We talked about this before. Like if you're only watching selfie musicians, then you're going to get your ideas are going to be, maybe I need to post a practice video or something. Like it's not going to come up for you. If you're idea.
Watching selfie musicians, all you're going to post is selfies. Mm-hmm. If you're watching practice videos, then all you're going to post is practice videos.
Right.
It's true. I mean, that's just the way that it is. And so, yeah. So one of the things I told Tracy is that and she probably doesn't know, she probably didn't know. Did you know the level to which I am constantly flushing my feed?
No, I did not until
Oh,
just now. And so that's why I was sitting here with my mouth like dropped to the floor because
oh,
I'm going, if you do that often, then I'm like not like behind isn't even a word I would use. I would just be like, I have never done that.
yeah, I'm completely engaged in creating a feed, especially Facebook is my main feed. Also, I mean, Instagram's okay. I'm more of a lurker. I don't post anything on there. I just lurk, and I get some ideas from Instagram. I definitely adapt memes that I find on Instagram. So a lot of my meme ideas come from, and infographic ideas come from Instagram. And I'm adapting from the different people that I follow or the different accounts that I follow. And I have multiple Instagram accounts, by the way. I don't just have one. And so I'm
Okay, why do you have multiple Instagram accounts?
just because I do. I
You
have
follow different people on each one?
I follow different people on each one. I have them categorized. So, one Instagram is for following, a certain niche. Another Instagram is for following another niche. Another one's for following another niche. So I don't want that all jammed in one feed. That annoys me. And
Mm.
so, and because again, I'm extremely organized. You know me, I'm all about order. And so I have multiple Instagram accounts and I am looking in each of them to see certain content. And
Hmm.
it's just how I stay organized in my mind is how I stay organized. And so that's where I get a lot of my meme ideas. I don't get a lot of content ideas from Instagram because it's not really a content platform. It's a it's like a picture platform,
Totally.
you know? And I don't follow any musicians, by the way, zero.
Hmm.
I don't follow any because there's nothing unfortunately right now, there's nothing in the classical music, musician Instagram feed that is remotely educational, interesting, or anything I want to adapt.
Right.
And that should give you, by the way, a clue. Stop following those people. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. You're just not going to get anything. I mean, Pink Martini is the exception,
Right.
you know,
And they're mostly on Facebook.
and they're mostly
I
on
should,
Facebook. Exactly.
yeah.
You know what I
Because
mean?
you can do longer videos on there. You can do longer
Yeah, yeah,
posts.
exactly. I mean, Instagram only has 1 minute videos. So here's the
Right.
thing, like with Facebook. So I flush my feed on a regular basis. Flush my feed means I'm not concerned about what pages I like. I find certain people and I follow them. And when my feed is getting stagnant or boring or it's annoying me or whatever, that's my cue that I need to flush my feed, which means I'm going to unfollow this set of people and I'm going to follow over here this set of people. So I will take 2 hours if I need to flush my feed. It doesn't take
Mhm.
actually that long all the time, but and by the way, while I'm, watching all the social media that runs my feed every day, I'm always looking for new people to follow. I'm always looking for, and mostly I find them in the comments, by the way. Um, I don't often find them in posts. I find them in comments. And Tracy knows this. I am constantly looking for new people to follow and learn from. And they're all in different niches, all different niches. And I adapt a lot of what I see from their posts. Some of them, by the way, are personal accounts, personal profiles. Some of them are that allow follow. Some of them are pages,
Hmm.
business pages. So it's both. It's not just business pages. It's also personal profiles,
Right.
you know? So yeah. And if you're not doing this, you're really not using Facebook or Instagram even in a way that is serving you, helping you.
Right. So changing the way, like the point of view from where you are watching social media from, I'm I'm an audience member to I'm a person who's building an audience.
Correct. And really everybody is. As a classical musician, you should think of yourself as someone who is building an audience for whatever it is that you're doing. I don't care what you're selling or what you're doing. If you're a player, if you're a, performer, if you are
Hmm.
a teacher, whatever you are always building an audience and you should always be thinking from that point of view.
Yeah, it just occurred to me because the symphony season started up again, and my husband's going to work every day again after the summer off.
Hmm.
And I was thinking about like, okay, so there's a big group of musicians who are all going back to work, and maybe they don't think that they have an audience because they're um, in a symphony and their audience is the symphony audience. But I think that's not true because like I can think of certain people who are like, they
Let me
have
tell you
certain
something. I know it's not
interests.
true. Let me tell you something. I know it's not true. And I'm not going to name names on this podcast, but there's a
Right.
guy, there's a guy that I spoke with probably a month ago, and he is in a top, I guess, is it a top five symphony? Do you know who I'm talking about, Tracy?
No.
The one who contacted me about helping him with his album.
Oh, right. Yeah, that would say top 10.
Okay, he's in a top 10 orchestra. Okay.
Hmm.
And obviously a great player and has been in the orchestra for a long time. He started a page. He started a Facebook page. And of course, he never considered doing this before. He's not a teacher, by the way. He's just a performer. He's taught a little bit here and there, but teaching is not really his deal. It's not really his jam. He really loves performing. And so I suggested that he start a Facebook page. I mean, the guy had multiple hundred likes inside of 2 weeks of starting that
Hmm.
page.
Yeah.
Because why? Because people know his name. He's in a
Yeah.
top 10 orchestra. If you're in a top 10 orchestra, people know your name.
Yeah.
If you're in a local orchestra, like that's, I mean, even the size of the North Carolina Symphony, if you're in that symphony, look, David, your husband is a great example. If David started a page, a lot of people would like it because there's a lot of people there who know him.
Right. And he has a page. He just doesn't do anything with it,
Right, but I'm just saying.
you
I
know?
mean, but earlier you said, I think they don't think they have an audience. The hell you
Yeah.
don't. The hell you don't have an audience. You absolutely do.
Right. And I was just thinking of certain people and of like you said, I won't name names either, but I know certain people who are really into like related things, music, things that are related to music like Alexander Technique or something. And they could use Facebook as a platform
Yep.
to talk about that stuff. I
Hmm.
mean, it's
There's a lot of
it's
people who are.
so
Look, Alexander technique has not died. It's still. There's still people who very much believe in it, and there's still a lot of people
yes.
who have never been exposed to it. They've heard of it,
Yeah.
but they've never actually had exposure to it. Like you
Right.
have
And I can
no
tell you
idea
it
what you can do with that.
revolutionized my playing. It
Yeah.
revolutionized my playing for personally.
Yeah, a lot of people
Yeah.
love it, and there's a lot of people who've heard of it. They're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it." I mean, wouldn't it be
Hmm.
nice if there was a resource for that on
Yeah.
Facebook? That would be like someone who decided they were going to hold themselves out as that, and
And
actually,
be the person who's
yeah,
who's hosting that conversation,
you can
you
be the
know?
go-to whenever you want. You just have to decide that's what you're going to be. If
Right.
until you decide, you won't be. It's
Hmm.
just really that simple. And look, and the reason why I keep my feed so interesting on Facebook and less so on Instagram, because again, I'm looking more for memes on there. But the reason I keep my Facebook feed so interesting is because it has to remain interesting in order for me to grab ideas from it. Why? Because I'm not creative. That's why.
Right.
I don't have original ideas. You know?
Well, and like that goes back to the creativity thing is that like you're either inherently creative or you can't be creative. And that's silly because you are creative all the time.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is you don't consider yourself like bestowed this crown
No,
of creativity.
absolutely not.
You're just able to produce creative things all the time because of the way that you operate.
Yeah,
And I
because
think
I
that's the
adapt.
point.
Exactly.
Yes,
Like I'm very creative with adaptation. I'm not creative without it. And
exactly.
I think the reason why this works for me is because I don't have something about, oh, I'm not creative and like give up. I don't have that. I'm like, okay, I'm not creative, so I got to figure out how to be creative in the problem called I'm not creative. In
Hmm.
other words, I go about solving the problem instead of deciding I'm some way and I can't, like I'm dead, you know?
Right.
You don't have to kill yourself off because you're not creative.
Hmm.
Solve the problem, you know? And by the way, I'm still not creative. Like you might think, because I've been adapting for years. I've been adapting other people's ideas, content, whatever, for years. I've been doing it. Years. And you might think after all this time that I might have gotten creative. Nope. Didn't happen.
Well, it's funny because when we first started working together, before Crushing Classical became a podcast, and I was looking for some way to start something, that's exactly where you went first.
I did.
Let's adapt from another area. You could be the such and such of classical music. You could be this person of classical. You could be that person of, you could write this book of classical, you know, and like, it was interesting because it was the launching off point. And granted, it evolved and it became what it is.
But you got to start somewhere.
Right, exactly. And it has components from things that we've adapted, and it has things that have come out of that are original.
Totally. And actually some really cool things have come out of it. Actually, the Firesides, I think that was a creation. I think that
the Firesides were an adaptation.
Were they?
Well, exactly. Not an adaptation. Like, I just stole the name. I took that completely to the name. But you know what? The name, I mean, come on, that lots of people have used that name before. Fireside Chat. Like, I think it originated with one FDR, I think.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, I Googled it because I was like, am I totally stealing this? And I'm like, no, the person that I'm stealing it from stole it from somewhere else, you know?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I mean, so many ideas are yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize that. Okay. So, but the idea for what we were going to do on it, I think was a creative
That was
thing.
original.
That was original.
Yeah,
I was like, we have these, ridiculous talks, on calls and nobody gets to hear them. We should talk, publicly about the kinds of things, conversations that we have. And that was definitely original. I think the hot seat was adapted.
Oh, it was?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I used to do hot seats, in the business world all the time. And so.
Well, a coaching call would have been a hot seat, essentially, right?
Essentially, yeah. And also they happen in, private masterminds and things like that, which business people do a lot of. And so the hot seat was something that happened I've been in private masterminds before, and the hot seat was something that happened every time we went and got together.
Oh,
and so it's totally adaptation, total adaptation, not an original idea.
Right.
But it can be adapted to this environment for the people that we're serving. So, and am I bashful at all about the fact that Tracy borrowed Fireside Chat and I borrowed Hot Seat? No.
Right.
Because it works. Nobody owns the Fireside, the idea called Fireside Chat. And nobody owns the idea called Hot Seat.
Right.
We're sharing it with a lot of other people. So it just happens to work inside the context that we're doing business, right? So, so I mean, I just.
And even our 100-day challenge was completely borrowed.
Oh, totally borrowed.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally borrowed.
But what's cool is that, like, what evolved from that was other challenges that were like created by us, like concepts of challenges.
That's right. It was all just, so some really creative ideas have come from but every creative idea we've had has come from something we adapted. Yeah. And so, I want you to start to get free, you people listening, I want you to start to get some freedom around this for yourself, because you don't have to be original. This is the whole be original thing all the time. I could never do it. I couldn't live under that cloud of pressure all the time. I would hate it. Right. And so
there's too much pressure and there's too many people who play your exact same instrument. So trying to be original and not go outside of your niche, as far as like, if you're a violinist only watching other violinists, that's very limiting, like to put parameters like that around yourself and then expect yourself to be completely original.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree.
So
also, what I think would be cool is if there were, how do I say? I wish there was such a thing as, say, I don't know why I just thought of this, but an improvisational violin teacher. So how to play, I'm just using violin as an example. It could be any instrument. So how to play violin. it would be so cool if, okay, so now you know how to play violin and you know the fundamentals and you get to a certain age where, and this is really for people who've completed, say, an undergraduate degree.
Mhm.
Once you've completed an undergraduate, now is the time for you to take over and teach yourself. And, can you go take lessons and, with other people? Of course you can, but at some point you sort of have to own your own growth after you're done with your degree.
Mhm.
What would be really cool, I think, is if there was such a thing as I'm going to call it, I'm using the word improvisational, but a violin teacher that could teach you how to find originality, how to find your own style, you know what I'm saying? Like you could get coached in creating a new way the violin is played, presented, the kind of music. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I wish that there were teachers like this who taught how to, instead of staying inside the box of being a perfect violinist, you teach getting out of the box of the perfect violinist. I think that
Mhm.
would be amazing. I think we
Yeah.
need to start creating new ways of doing this thing called playing a classical music instrument.
Yeah. I think everyone's ideas about what to do next, as far as if you want to teach, is just how else can I teach more people the same stuff?
Well, yeah, that's what exists right now.
You
How do I
know,
teach, now I'll teach junior high kids how to play violin better. How now I'll teach, and really what
now I'll
everyone,
teach YouTube, or
right.
I'll make YouTube videos about how to teach the same stuff, or I'll
That's right.
offer online Skype lessons to teach the same
Exactly.
stuff. But what if you were like, hey, I'm teaching something different, and it
Hey,
doesn't mean
yeah,
that you're
hey, come study with me for 6 weeks, and we're going to put you through a little boot camp. I'm just making this up, where you are going to explore out of the box performance possibilities and techniques so you can expand the horizons of playing violin. I would sign up for that in 10 seconds if I was a
right,
violinist.
right.
This is the kind of stuff where creative career, I mean, this is what I love about the concept of creative career. How do you create a unique career? That's freaking unique. And by the way, anyone who did that could charge way more
Because you'd be like the only one who's
because you'd be
doing
the
it.
only one doing it,
Yeah.
especially if you're willing to think bigger and think pushing boundaries.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you also think outside your basic generation as well, and consider like that there's kids coming up now who don't necessarily want to learn classical music. They want to learn the music they hear on the radio or whatever. Doesn't mean you can't teach violin classically, but you could also branch out to teach what people actually want to play on their instrument. Something a little more,
Possibly.
some different
The
genre.
reason why I said this is for people who are older after their undergraduate is because, first of all, they've got the basics of the instrument down.
Yeah.
I think one of the issues with, introducing other genre when you're trying to learn the instrument is you don't know the instrument yet. And
Hmm.
so you don't have the kind of freedom. You know what I'm saying?
No, I mean like if you're who you're marketing to. Oh, but yeah, I guess that's a
Yeah,
good point. But no,
that's
I've
what I'm
had
pointing to. Yeah.
right, but I've had parents of David students tell me like, they've been practicing classical violin for 5 years and they really resonate way more with fiddling, like being a fiddler.
So then they should go study with a fiddler. They
Exactly.
shouldn't
Like
study with your
that's
husband. I'm just
exactly. No,
saying.
and
Like,
I've
I'm not
said
trying to be an
that.
ass, but that's the answer.
I guess that's what I'm thinking of right now though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, totally. And I'm sure there's people who teach fiddling.
no, there is.
I mean, I don't know, but I'm sure there are, right? So, but that's what I'm saying though. Like, I would love to see everybody stop being so correct and stop trying to repeat the past. This is
Hmm.
not, that is not actually, you want to talk about creativity. This is where it begins. It begins with, I'm not going to do what's already been done and I'm going to push the boundaries. And the reason why, let's say an improvisational violinist, I mean, I'm just totally making that up, right? But the reason why that person would make so much money is because, and do so well, is because classical musicians are so, they stay inside boundaries and they don't even know how to think outside boundaries. And you have to pay somebody to teach you how to think outside your boundaries. You
Mm-hmm.
guys are so stuck in this one way of thinking and one way of doing. You have to like pay somebody to get out of it.
I'm telling you though, the concept of controlling your Facebook feed is probably something that people just, I mean, it's a few levels up from what typically people,
Well, yeah, I
even what
mean,
they think of Facebook as, because people aren't even thinking of using Facebook as a way to get inspiration for their own pages.
well,
They're
yeah,
just
or their own profiles even. Your
right,
profile or
exactly.
your page,
Their
because it could be for
profiles.
either one. And so here's what I'll say about that. The difference is, and I told Tracy this the other day, one of the things I told her a long time ago is when you look at your feed, you have to look at it as a provider, if you will, not a consumer. So there's something you want to provide for an audience. There's something you
Mm-hmm.
want to, whether it's, you're a performance artist and you want to get an audience for that, or you're a teacher, you want to get more students. So
Mm-hmm.
you have an audience. Everybody has an audience. All of you, you know, for all intents and purposes, you sell for a living on some level if you're a musician.
Yeah.
So you have to look at your feed from the perspective of a provider instead of a
Mm-hmm.
consumer. So I don't go on Facebook to consume content. And I don't go on there as a consumer. A consumer is I'm looking at my feed in a way that I'm going to get something from it. That's not how I look at it. I look at it as, okay, look at all these things that they're posting. How can I adapt this to provide for my audience?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I think of my feed. And if I'm not inspired by my feed, like if my feed is not generating enough good ideas, that's when I flush it and I unfollow people and I follow new people.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I look at my feed. And so that's where the adaptation comes from. The creativity thing comes from, is that.
Right.
And so, but I have to remind you all the time to look at it as a provider.
I do. And actually, I have to go and scramble up my feed right after this call, change some people, unfollow some people.
Yeah,
I
it
think,
gets stagnant after a while.
yeah.
It gets stagnant. And by the way, just a reminder, I know we talked about this on a previous Fireside. Are you liking posts to keep people in your feed?
Yes.
Okay, it's really important that you keep doing that. You have to keep liking. Whatever you want to see in your feed gets reinforced by a like or a comment or a share. If you are not
Mm-hmm.
liking, commenting, and sharing on what's in your feed, you will not continue to see it in your feed because you're voting for it or against it. When you do nothing, you're voting against it. And Facebook will continue to monkey with your feed until you show it that you're liking your feed. And the only way to
Mm-hmm.
show it that is by a like, comment, or share.
Right.
So just remember that. It's really important because if you flush your feed and then you don't maintain your feed by liking, commenting, and sharing, Facebook will flush your feed for you and you will not like what it flushes it to. It'll turn it into a nice little toilet. I mean, that's what it'll do. I'm serious, because it doesn't know what you want.
Right.
So just remember that, Facebook requires consistent maintenance. And I think Instagram does as well, actually.
Yeah, I do too.
If I'm not, liking, the heart deal, if I'm not liking the posts that are in my, I'm not going to continue seeing those people.
Mm-hmm.
So, keep that in mind. But that's where you adapt from, though. That's where all your good ideas. If you're not creative, no problem. No problem. I'm not creative either. Come over here and sit next to me. Really. And remember that and by the way, I look at like I said, I don't look at any classical musicians at all. I'm only looking at, other arenas all the time, all different arenas.
Mm-hmm.
Things I'm talking arenas I don't even buy in, but they have really good ideas that they're showing their
Right.
audiences. And all I'm doing is I'm pulling those ideas from those other arenas and I'm adapting them for this one.
Yeah. I need to go do some internet research on what areas I can look in,
Yeah,
you know,
totally. Well,
what
and I mean, okay,
resonates.
so start with the ones let's talk about that. Start with the ones you like. So
The areas that I like
that you're
seeing stuff
interested
from.
in, that you're interested in. Start with that. That's the
Well,
easiest way. So what are some areas, categories? Let's call them categories. What categories are you interested in?
um, well, I do follow some business people that are in business and people that are sort of, um, let's see, how would I describe it? Like people who give kind of advice about how to become more effective. I guess you know what I
Productivity?
mean? Like
Productivity?
productivity. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I
Productivity.
mean.
Okay, so that's a
Hmm.
category. So there are people in the productivity niche. There's a lot of good ones, and I follow several.
Yeah,
Several,
yeah,
right? I follow
yeah.
probably 6 of those.
Uh-huh.
Something like, okay, good. So that's one category. What's another one you're interested in?
See, I don't have a whole lot of, that's why I was just saying, like, I need to look into what other categories would be interesting to me. Health is very
So
important
what
to me,
you're,
so
so
I
what,
follow a couple health
so what's
people.
really interesting is what you just said to me is I'm not interested in things.
I have a couple of interests, really.
That's kind of sad. And so here it is. Okay, so let me just be honest. That's sad. I want you to open up your life. If you only have a couple of interests, then it's time for you to open your life. And this is for everyone who's listening to this podcast. I'm interested in money. I'm interested in productivity. I'm interested in personal development. I'm interested in health and fitness. I'm interested in hobbies because there's a lot of really great selling going on in hobbies. I hate golf, but I follow several people who do marketing in the golf niche.
Oh,
Oh,
really? Oh.
absolutely. I hate golf. I mean, the closest I'm ever going to get to a golf course is I'm sitting on the golf cart with a beer. That's the closest I'm ever going to get. Like, I'm not even going to touch a club. I'll tell jokes. You play golf. No problem. But seriously,
Oh.
like, I'm not kidding. Like, I'm interested in a lot of things. I'm interested in health and fitness, certainly. I'm interested in, actually, I'm kind of interested in conspiracy theory right now because there's a lot of
Oh, I
interesting.
love that
Yeah,
stuff. Are you kidding?
I
Yeah.
love the prepper category too. You know, the people who think the end of the world is coming.
Yeah,
That's a
that those people, I used to follow a guy who was really into that. It sort of
totally,
got into my head. I
absolutely.
couldn't watch it
Well, and here's the thing. You know,
anymore.
there are some things you can tolerate and some things you can't. I don't love
Yeah.
conspiracy theory, but what I think is so interesting is the cult-like following that they maintain. And that's what I'm interested in is how do they do that? I'm watching to see how they do that. You
Uh-huh.
see, because I don't know, open and interested. You have to open up your life and open up your interests.
And as you
Everybody.
say this, though, Eileen, as you say this, and you're saying all these things that you're interested in, I'm like, yeah, I'm interested in that too. I'm interested in that too, but I just haven't broadened it onto my Facebook feed. You
Okay,
know what I'm
good.
saying?
Great.
Like, those are things maybe that I would Google or that I would read because I've subscribed to a newsletter a long time ago or
Okay.
something like
That's
that.
fair.
So bringing it into the social media will actually put it in front of my face more often.
Yeah.
But then thinking about how these niches sell is another interesting aspect. How they
Totally.
actually, especially like the prepper thing, like they can convince you to spend $400 on some food that's packed
Yep.
in a way that can be stored for 5 years or 10
Correct.
years or
And
something.
there's people who are like, how do I store my water, for long enough that it's not going to go rancid or bad or whatever. Like there's a whole design to how you have to store water to make it
I
last
know.
for a certain period of time. Otherwise there's something about it goes bad. Now, I don't know all the details about it, but what I'm interested in, it's not about the water. See, I'm not a consumer. I'm not trying to consume the information about how do I package my water for 10 years. What I'm interested
Hmm.
in is how do they sell that to someone who's worried about that? And
Mm.
I'm watching that. How are they selling that to the person who's worried about that?
It's interesting.
That's what's interesting about it.
Well, it might be interesting following more musicians from other genres, like rock musicians, hip hop musicians, just to see how audiences engage on those pages and why.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. The person I would follow is Taylor Swift because
I
she's
follow her.
brilliant. She's absolutely brilliant. She's probably one of the best little marketers that has graced the world. I mean, brilliant. Lady Gaga, phenomenal. One of the
Hmm.
best. One of the best. Another one, interestingly enough, like you would never think this, but Adele. And what's so great about Adele is that she doesn't give a crap what you think about her. And that's what makes her so interesting.
Mm.
The so not doesn't give it, she doesn't care what you think about her, and she only produces what her knowingness tells her to do. And so she's super interesting. I mean, those are three people you could follow. Those are big names, obviously. There's probably smaller ones. But here's the thing, but don't just look at musicians. This is what I'm going to tell you.
Right.
Don't make this mistake.
Right.
Like, don't be so. It drives
Right. But the
me
reason
nuts.
I just brought it up is because generally I wouldn't even consider looking outside of that because maybe it doesn't apply or something.
That is ridiculous that anyone would think it doesn't apply. Because if it doesn't apply, it's because you're not adapting it, period.
Exactly.
There's
That's the
no
point.
such thing as it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply because you haven't found a way to adapt it. And if the sooner that all of you adopt this mindset, the sooner you will become amazing at promoting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as it doesn't apply. That is ridiculous, closed-minded thinking. That's what that is. The reason why I know I have an endless surcharge of ideas of what to create or whatever is because of how good I am at adapting and how open I am to looking at other arenas for ideas.
Right. And adapting it, not just sharing what you found with your audience. You don't want to do that.
Nope. Because,
Right.
and listen, here's the other thing. We talked about audience earlier. Your audience is probably not classical musicians, and you're having a heart attack about that. Our audience, Crushing Classical, is classical musicians. You guys. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Your audience is not. Stop trying to impress your classical music followers, friends, whatever, because they're not your audience. The reason why you don't promote and the reason why you don't become anything that you could become is because you forgot who your audience is. You don't understand who your audience is.
Right. And if you just started a page and you invited all your friends to like your page, then maybe right now your classical, maybe that's your audience, but that's not what it's supposed to be.
Yawn. If you're starting a page and you're inviting all your friends to like it, you don't understand social media. Every time you post on your profile, just imagine this for a second. Okay. So you've got a personal profile, right? And then you've got a business page. So you've got your personal profile with your 900 friends. And then you start a business page and you invite all those 900 friends to like your page. Why did you do that?
Right. Because now you have the same people looking at
now
both
you have the
your
same people looking.
posts.
How does that help you? You already had that on your profile. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
Not one time have I advertised Crushing Classical for any of my friends to like it, except for the ones who are still musicians. I said,
right,
hey,
exactly.
hey, you might want to check this page out. We're doing a podcast, la, 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 la. Right. I said all that. But, I had 3 friends, maybe, that were musicians, But the rest of the time, no, I didn't ask anybody else. And people go, well, it looks better if you have a bunch of likes on your page. Yeah, no, it doesn't. It does not help you to have the wrong audience on your page. I don't care. I don't care if you got 150 likes from your friends. That didn't help you. Because now you've just got you've got your personal profile and your business page with all the same people. Congratulations. Here's a cookie. Here's a cookie and a glass of milk. Good job. That didn't do anything for you, And so, exactly. I know there's all this conventional thinking, if I create a page, I have to invite my friends. You guys are not thinking this through. Think through what you're doing. There's strategy missing here. Give up the validation and get on with the strategy. That's not strategic. It's not. I want everyone to start thinking strategically. If there's one gift I have in this world, it is thinking strategically. And I think about everything I'm doing and I question everything because just because other people are doing does not mean it's correct. Right? So anyway, I don't know if that's a direction you wanted to go, but that's where we landed.
No, it is. It is. I think this idea of adapting needs to be reiterated over and over because even though I know that you do it, I'm still always surprised to the level that you do it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, how seriously you take your Facebook
Oh
feed.
man, so seriously, I'm serious. I'm telling you, almost every 30 days, every 30 to 45 days, I have to flush my feed.
Right. And I haven't done that. So I'm going, what am I missing? What haven't I seen yet that's going to give me ideas, especially because of this social media challenge I'm doing. I
Yep.
need more ideas.
Yeah.
I'm like running all out already. And
Are
I'm
you
like on day
really? Oh
three.
man, yeah, we gotta flush your feed.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few for the next few days, but I'm going, uh-oh, like
Yeah.
I need more.
Yeah.
I need more
I know, and
inspo.
that's why I'm so into my feed. That's why I'm so into flushing my feed and being in there all the time. And do I like it? And is it working? And am I, am I sparked by it when I go look at it? If I'm not, I
Hmm.
have to do something about that.
Right.
So I get in a really big hurry. I consider it an emergency if it's not, if the feed is not
Right.
working, you
And
know?
I know I've said to you, oh yeah, have you seen so and so's post? And you're like, no, I got him out. I was bored
Yep.
or
Oh yeah,
whatever, you
the
know?
minute someone's boring me or they're posting things that are annoying or whatever, they're out. That's it. And I mean I do that right away. If I'm seeing consistent nonsense, they're out. They just get
Mhm.
unfollowed immediately. That just gets taken out of my feed right away. I have very little patience for anything that's going to destroy a feed that I can adapt.
Right.
I really do. I have very little patience for it. So
Hmm.
yeah. So anyway, take that for what it's worth. And guys, get interested in other things. Stop following
Yeah,
musicians. Like, come on. There's more to life. And you would be
exactly.
such a multidimensional, more interesting person if you would take on what I'm saying here. I can have a conversation about anything. There's really
Hmm.
nothing I can't talk about. There's very few things I haven't already been exposed to. That even things on Facebook that I've been watching or whatever. I can talk about pretty much anything because I have a lot
Right.
of interests. And so I encourage you, Tracy, and everybody on here to dive into what are you interested in and start there.
Hmm.
Because there's a lot of great marketing going on in other arenas that you can adapt. There's a lot of great selling going on. There's a lot of great promoting, let's use that word, promoting going on.
Well, and that's the distinction, actually, is that I don't think people don't have interests, and I certainly do have interests. But when you ask me who I follow on Facebook, connected to my interests with the distinction that you're looking for how things are being promoted so you can adapt that for your own promoting
Hmm.
purposes.
Hmm.
That's a whole other way of looking at
It is.
Facebook
It is.
that that's what I wanted to get across on this fireside
Totally.
because it's not that I don't have interest. It's just that I've been behaving like a consumer with my interests instead of looking at how my interests can actually impact the way that I am promoting things for Crushing Classical or the way that I'm doing my social media
Yeah,
or how I can tell other people to do it,
totally.
you
Totally.
know?
Well, good. I hope this was valuable. Is there anything else
Yeah.
that you want to say about this or talk about this, or we're good?
I don't think so. That's it in a nutshell, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the second level of creativity. This is, creativity for people who aren't creative.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we'll call
101. Right.
it. Creativity, the second level. Yeah.
Right.
So, and by the
What's
way,
level
don't feel
3?
badly if you're not creative.
Right.
Message me. I'll make you feel better about it.
Nice.
Seriously, yeah, I don't feel badly about it at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at really clever people and I'm like, God, I wish I was that clever.
I
You
know.
know, I mean, really, but I'm not.
I can
So
think
there's,
of,
oh
yeah.
well, I wasn't born with that. I was born with a lot of other things, though. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah,
And
well,
so are
we should
you.
talk about this. I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to bring this up more in the Classical Cats group because because we got a lot of feedback from the first creativity podcast about
Yeah, we got good
just
feedback.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, which was great. We love your feedback. So please always reach out when you have something to say about what we're talking about. And I'm gonna get more active in the Classical Cats group. It's just what I'm dedicated to now to keep this conversation going and have more people pipe up and say what they're feeling, or we can even talk about and share ideas. You can tell us where you're adapting from.
yeah,
You know,
totally. And
show us some of
I
your
hope you
stuff.
do take on making your feed really interesting. And
Yeah.
I really
Tell
do.
us about that.
It's so great. It's just, I really enjoy going and looking at my feed every day. And I know I'm responsible for how good it is. And I'm also responsible for how bad it is when it gets bad. And then I have to change it,
Mm-hmm.
So just remember that you can, this is in your control. You don't have to hate your
Yeah.
Facebook feed. You can actually love it.
Yeah. You can use see it first.
Yeah.
You can unfollow friends if you don't want to unfriend them because you like them, but you'd rather just go to their page when it's time for you instead of there's been times where I've liked a couple posts of someone's and then I get like my newsfeed has like 3 or 4 of their posts in a row. I'm going, how is this possible?
It
I like
happens a
so many
lot. I know.
pages. I have so
Hmm.
many friends and then I get the same 2 or 3 people all the time. And you're going, no, this has got to be more variety here. I
Yeah,
love you, but come on.
totally. And the other thing that I do too, I don't know if you've noticed this, I'll just say this about the feed. The other thing I do is you'll notice sometimes, you'll see something in your feed and you comment on it. So let's say you comment and a couple days later, 2 or 3 days later, it's still in your feed. Like you'll notice the same post and a bunch of people have commented since then or whatever. I want you to know I hide those posts. So once I've commented and turned off notifications, that's one thing I'm very good about is turning off notifications. As soon as I comment, I turn off notifications in almost every case because I don't want to be constantly prompted that other people are commenting on a post I commented on. I just wanted to say whatever I said and then I end up turning off the notification. I am religious about turning notifications off. And so, but sometimes that post will recur in my feed over and over and over again. When I see a post too often, I hide the post. There's a little thing you can click on in the upper right hand corner and you can hide the post. Because if you don't continue to hide posts, you're going to see the same stuff over and over that you commented on because it's continuing to show you what you commented on. So to keep your feed fresh, don't forget that's part of keeping your feed fresh is hiding posts that you've already commented on that you're no
Mm-hmm.
longer following. Because
What if you want to follow the conversation and continue adding? I mean, I guess you could keep it on that in that
yeah,
case.
you can keep the notifications on. I just don't do that.
Mm.
I don't, I mean, unless there's rarely a post. There's only a few posts that I want to keep seeing the conversation. I mean,
Right.
we're talking one in 50 posts, one in
Mm-hmm.
100 posts. I mean, it's really not, it's so rare that I want to continue to see the conversation that I'm just religious about turning those notifications off because again, I'm not there for Facebook to control my life. I'm there to go into Facebook for my purposes, not their purposes.
Right.
You have to control your feed. And the only way to do that is by doing what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
So does that make sense? Is that something you do or
Oh,
no?
yeah. Yeah, I do it. I do it sometimes.
Yep.
And then the times that I haven't done it, I've been like, oh God.
Yep. And then you have to go and,
Yeah.
yep. Yep.
Especially if you comment on something that, on a page that has 50,000
Yep.
people liking
Yep.
it, then you're in trouble because you've commented and there's going to be thousands of comments after that
Yeah,
or hundreds or
exactly.
whatever.
And so
So those,
yeah, I mean, you're going to get
yeah,
notified of all that, and that's just annoying.
yeah,
So I refuse to have Facebook control my feed. I always want to be in control of it. So that's why I do all these little things. You're
hmm
probably thinking, I mean, you're like the biggest control freak in the world. Well, duh. I think we already know that. I mean, I am,
yeah, we know that.
right?
We know that.
I don't think anyone who's been listening to these firesides doesn't already know that. But there's a strategy behind it.
Right.
Right. So just remember that, the control freak I am, there's a design.
hmm
So keep that in mind. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I hope that's helpful to you, everybody who's listening. I hope it's helpful to you to begin, I don't know, taking control of, because Facebook is great. You just have to make it great.
Yeah. And the whole purpose is for adapting for your own creativity so that you can
Yeah.
see that you actually are creative.
You're a
As long as you
provider
have
and you
stuff
have an
that's
audience.
yeah, and you need to find the stuff that will prompt your creativity, like that
Totally.
lump of clay that I said before.
Totally. You just have to,
Yeah.
if you think of yourself as a provider who has an audience, you're going to look at your feed in a different way. And that's always what I'm reminding Tracy to do with her feed.
hmm
And of course, now she's probably looking at it in a totally different way after this morning's
hmm
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm realizing that I need to follow some different people and I need to unfollow some people for a little while, maybe just take a
Yeah,
break.
man, you should hit me up. I mean, we can talk
Yeah.
about. I mean, I can make all kinds of recommendations to you if you tell me what you're looking for. Just we'll figure it out.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm blown away by stuff that you'll share with me and I'm like, why didn't I see that? It's probably because of my feed, this situation with my feed.
It could be,
I mean, and
yeah,
granted, we're not
totally.
going to see all the same things all the time, but
No, but we follow a lot of
you
we
know.
follow some of the same people, I think.
Hmm.
But also keep in mind that I'm always following new people, and I see those new people comment on other people's stuff, and that's how I find some of the stuff I send you.
Right.
So
Oh,
keep
okay.
that in
Yeah.
mind. So like you might be wondering how the hell I sent you whatever post and how I would have seen that. A lot of times it's because somebody I just followed ended up commenting on a post that I wouldn't have seen otherwise.
Okay.
So it's all a big
So
it's
you're looking at those side you're looking at those that sidebar too, like to see who commented on what.
actually no, it's showing up in my newsfeed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just shows up in my, you know how when someone comments, like, you know how when I like something, because you and I are friends, you know how when I like something, you can see that I liked it?
Yeah.
Or when I comment on something, you might be able to see that I commented on it. It says, Eileen just commented
Yes.
on this, right? So that's
Yeah.
where I'm getting it from. It's coming in my feed.
Okay.
And that's equally interesting, by the way. If you're following interesting people and they're commenting on interesting posts, that's even, and then you go in there. I always look for the smart people. I tell Tracy all the time, it's the smart people that pull me in. And I can tell how
Hmm.
smart they are by their comments. The intelligence is either in the comments or it's not. And so a lot of the people that I follow end up, it's because I found them in the comments. So keep
Right.
that in mind. There's some really great people in the comments.
Right.
And there's some, vitriol as well, but, we won't talk about that.
Right.
So anyway, food for thought. I would love for the whole world to love their Facebook feed as much as I love
Yeah.
mine.
Well, I can tell you that I hear a lot just on in other avenues, people saying there's this thing called Facebook depression where, you know, everyone's only putting out their highlight reel of their life and then other people look at it and they get depressed because all they see is the good stuff in other people's lives and they imagine that they never have anything bad happen or they never feel depressed or whatever. And I'm going, I don't really experience that because I control my feed and you control your feed to a level like far
Yeah.
surpassing how I control it.
If your
I
if your
don't feel that way
yeah,
about Facebook because I don't look at it like
if
that.
your feed is making you feel bad about yourself, you're following the wrong people.
Hmm.
Because there are lots of people, by the way, who are not posting their highlight reel. That's mostly on Instagram. People are always posting a highlight reel on Instagram. That's the
Hmm.
place to be. That's the club on the Saturday night. That's my that's
Yeah.
what I call it. I call Instagram the club on the Saturday night, on the hot club on Saturday night.
And it totally
It
is.
totally is.
Yeah.
Everybody can get in. Everybody can get in the club, but then it kind of goes downhill from there. That's what I say about Instagram. It's
Yeah.
the C and B scene. Show up in a hot dress. Strike a pose, drink a bunch.
Hmm.
Kiss random guys, take random guys' phone numbers, go home wasted, and you don't remember anything that happened that night. That's Instagram. That's Instagram. Like that's the play. Because the
Yes.
only reason you show up at the hot club is so that you can say you showed up at the hot club. That is what Instagram is. The only reason why you have a hot feed on Instagram is because you want to be Instagram famous. The purpose of Instagram is to be famous on the platform. It is not for anything more than that. That is what Instagram is.
Hmm.
If you just look at Instagram for what it is and what it isn't, you will see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there isn't value there because I do adapt memes and whatnot from there. I'm not saying it's not valuable. I'm not trashing the platform. I'm just telling you what the platform is. That's what it is.
It is.
And if you look from that point of view, you will see what I'm talking about.
Hmm.
It's totally the hot club on a Saturday night. And that is proven by the selfie musician craze that is Instagram.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
perfect example of what goes on Instagram. So,
Yeah.
and Facebook is not that. Facebook is a completely different platform. That's why I focus so much on Facebook because there is a different, um, it's a totally different feel. And
It
there's
is.
conversations happening there.
Hmm.
Instagram is a scroll and heart, scroll and heart, scroll and heart, scroll and heart. That's all it is.
If Instagram is the hot club on a Saturday night, then Facebook is like the um several different coffee shops and bars and restaurants that you might,
That's
you
right.
know,
Yeah.
like,
Like it's like it's like 6th Street in Austin where you can walk into the grunge bar and, have an interesting conversation with the dude on the corner, nursing a vodka, or you can go to the Hilton, um, and sit in the classy upscale bar with the business guys who are there overnight because they've got a sales meeting the next day, and you're going to have a totally different conversation with, you know what I'm saying?
yes, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what it is. I mean, you can walk down, downtown. I'm using Austin because I used to live there. You can walk down downtown Austin and you can have a totally different experience all night long. And that's what Facebook is. And
Yes.
Instagram is just a hot club.
Just one hot club.
One hot club. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And
I like that you're like, and everyone can come in.
anyone can come in. You got a short enough skirt? Come on in. You're a good looking guy? Come on in. Like, and everybody's welcome, but at the end of the night, only certain people are getting numbers, and you're not going to remember anybody, Everyone's wasted. And the next morning, you're like, what happened? And who are these people? Like, all these papers in my pocket, or how many random people entered their number in my phone last night?
Right. And if you don't go to the club every night, then you will instantly be forgotten.
Totally. That's what Instagram is. They forget you. You are not memorable on Instagram.
There's not a conversation. No. It's about how you look.
It's about how you looked in the moment I scrolled. And that's how it is at a hot club.
Totally. Oh my God.
How did you look the minute I looked at you? And if you weren't
that
hot,
is just so spot on.
It's what it is. I mean, like, nobody wants to say that this is how it is, but it's how it is.
Yeah.
So, and of course, it probably sounds, you're probably going, God, that's super negative that she's saying that. It's not negative. It's real. I just, you know what it is. I'm just honest.
God, you're so negative, Eileen.
You're so negative. People say that, but you know what it is. It's truth.
It's just truth. It's just what is. It's just
what I'm saying. You will see that it's true what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we just need more honesty. That was one of the things I thought about talking about today, but maybe we'll talk about it another time.
I don't know. You're about to publish some really awesome stuff.
Yeah.
One of my favorite posts of all time is going to go up one of these days, and I'm stoked about it. I mean, honestly, a lot of the stuff you're producing right now is really great. And so you should be super proud of yourself. And I know you don't feel like you have enough ideas, but frankly, we can fix that problem in about 15 minutes.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, good.
And thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm about to post a super honest post that it was actually really painful to write.
She had to rewrite it 3 times.
Yeah, I did. Eileen was helping me to make sure that it was impactful enough.
Yep.
Because the reason why I had to rewrite it a few times was because I didn't want to really be honest. And then when I finally was honest, I was like, ouch, this hurts, but it's true. So why? I might as well just rip off the Band-Aid. It really is. I mean, and it happened fucking 20 years ago. So
listen,
really.
I get it. I totally get it. It's always hard when you screw up.
Yeah.
It's always hard. And so she's going to write, she wrote a screw up post. I mean, it's a really good post though. I mean, you're going to love it. Yeah. It's really great.
There's a happy ending though.
There is. Actually, yeah, that's like the best part about it.
That is the best part, right?
It is I love the ending. And actually, I didn't know that ending until you told me about it a couple days ago.
Well, that's what's funny about it too.
Yeah. You actually didn't tell me. I only knew the main story. I didn't know how it ended.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, you didn't tell me. So anyway, but you'll get to see that. I think that post will be out. Well, I don't know. Maybe by the time this Fireside comes out, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'll figure it out.
So anyway, this was a joy. Thank you for the convo.
Yes. Thank you. This was a good one. And we'll continue the conversation in Classical Cats. So if you aren't a group member of the group yet, just join it. Classical Cats on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/crushingclassical, and join the conversation.
I can't wait to see what people say about my assessment of Instagram.
Oh my God, yeah, I can't wait. People are going to be mad at you. They're going to be mad at you. How could you say that? Instagram is the most popular platform right now.
I know, right? That's what they're going to say, and I'm going to go. I never argued its popularity.
Exactly.
My response is I was never arguing its popularity. That's my response. In case anyone's going to write in about that, let me just give you a heads up.
You just debunked it just there. Yeah, the Saturday Night Club is always popular.
It is. I never said it wasn't popular. So anyway,
Awesome. All right. We'll talk to you next Fireside Chat. We'll talk to you again.
Yeehaw. Have a great one.
Okay, you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening today. Hey, listen, I have a huge favor to ask you, and it will only take a few seconds. If you like this show, one way that you can let us know is by writing a review on iTunes and subscribing to the podcast. Writing a review will help other people to find the podcast and help us immensely. It will only take a few minutes. Just head over to iTunes and search for Crushing Classical. There, you can write a review and click subscribe. Thanks again.